Hello everyone, welcome back to RM History. Today I'm going to be going over the Royal Navy in the Defence Investment Plan. So, for those of you who don't know, the Defence Investment Plan was a plan published by the UK government on the 30th of June this year, outlining a total planned spend of around 300 billion over the next 4 years. About 15 billion of that went towards the modernization of the armed forces, and it tried to boost the modernization. Now, before we get into this plan and how it affects the Royal Navy, we kind of have to understand, especially for people who don't really know about naval warfare and Britain and its navy, we kind of have to understand how important the navy is to the UK. Now, the navy is pretty much one of the first lines of defense for the UK. Of course, you have the Air Force, but the Navy is deployed around the world and also helps our allies. And ships can go months at sea and they can defend the country for months, whereas a plane and a jet could only really do it for maybe like a maximum like half a day to a day. I mean, I'm not entirely sure about like um, jets and stuff, but it's nowhere near as long as a ship. And so ships are one of the like first lines of defense for the UK. And many people don't really understand that. I mean, if you're like educated on modern warfare, especially for the UK, you probably are aware of that. But a lot of people forget about how important the Navy really is until, for America, for example, you have a situation like the Strait of Hormuz, and America have had to use their Navy a lot throughout that incident. But now that we've got the importance of the Navy understood, hopefully, we can start looking into the this plan. So the Navy is quite a main part of this plan, and one of the things that this plan intends to do is scrap the Type 83 destroyer and Type 32 frigate, which haven't entered construction yet, but they have been planned. The Type 83 destroyer was planned to replace the Type 45 destroyer, which is heavily designed around anti-air warfare, and it specializes in like taking out aircraft and missiles and stuff. And the Type 83 destroyer was meant to be a replacement for that, and it was meant to pretty much do the same job. But this Type 83 destroyer has now been scrapped, and it's going to be replaced with a new type of warship called a Common Combat Vessel. This warship is meant to be a hub for unmanned vessels like drones and autonomous ships and stuff like that. And it's good for drone warfare, but it won't be as good when it comes to anti-air, which means that we're going to no longer have a ship as capable as the Type 45 when it comes to anti-air. While it isn't confirmed what the ships will cost, it is plausible to think that they will be much cheaper than the Type 83 destroyer. So the question is, was the Type 83 destroyer cancelled due to a lack of money? The Navy has been shifting towards drone operations quite a bit recently, so it is hard to say, but funding was probably a major factor into why the Type 83 destroyer was cancelled. Now, another ship, as mentioned earlier, that was scrapped and cancelled was the Type 32 frigate. Now, the Royal Navy has recently been having quite a big problem with frigates. We do currently have the Type 26 frigate in construction, which is planned to, the first ship is planned to be finished at around 2028. But the reason why we have a problem is because the current Duke class frigates are being decommissioned currently. And so we're going to have a small period of time where we have very few and possibly even no frigates in our navy, which would not be good. Frigates perform quite vital tasks, including anti-submarine warfare, which has been used. I mean, the Russians have been using submarines around British waters quite a bit, and so anti-submarine warfare is needed. They also escort and protect high-value assets like aircraft carriers, like the HMS Queen Elizabeth, or other amphibious groups. They also have like peacetime security. They all just go around the world and kind of just have a global presence. And so frigates are quite vital for the Royal Navy. And so having this period of time where we have very few frigates and maybe even none, it's not going to be very good for our Navy as a whole, really. Okay, so the last thing I will be talking about is the 12 new attack submarines which are planned to be built. I did talk about these in my last video, so if you want to find out about those, just watch that. But they've been like confirmed pretty much. They're called the AUKUS class, and they have been planned for quite a while now. And the UK will be working alongside the US and Australia throughout the program to try and make them better, I suppose. And they're planning to get a new submarine out every 18 months. So we'll have to see whether or not that's successful. I do think they'll get the submarines out, but it's whether or not they'll get them out every 18 months and on time. But you never know, they might be very good with their timing. Okay, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I would just like to say that everything I've said in this video I've just learned from myself from the internet. So if you think I've said anything wrong or I've got anything wrong, I mean, I don't mean to get anything wrong, and I'm sorry, but I'm also open for debate in the comments. Thanks for watching, and bye.